Hey everybody, welcome back to Fearless Fridays on Facebook Live. So it's been a few weeks since I've done a Facebook Live, and that is because last week of July, so the week of the 24th, I was actually at Holy Trinity in Richmond Hill running a wearable tech camp in conjunction with their summer camps. So it was a lot of fun. I'm sure those of you who follow our Facebook page have seen some of the cool, or Twitter account, have seen some of the cool projects that the kids have come up with or came up with and created. And then last week I was taking a little bit of a midsummer break. So now I'm back to the conversation and back to share some exciting, I guess, updates and opinions on STEM education and kind of our beliefs and values here at STEM Minds. So before we get started, welcome back, and make sure you check out our Facebook page for the albums and things that we've been posting from our summer camps, especially if you have an interest in our programs or want to find out a little bit more. Then you can see some photos there of what our kids get up to in the camp and the types of activities that they do, not only in the camp programs, but also throughout the year. So the topic for today's Fearless Fridays is gamification, and gamification of learning, especially, and the sort of whole trend of gamifying education that many of you have probably heard sort of in the news or through conversations, especially those of you who happen to be educators or perhaps have children who attend a school who is big on gamification as well. And there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to talk about this particular topic for this week's Fearless Fridays. So one of them being gamification, and especially gamification of learning, has something that I have personally been pretty passionate about as an educator. For those of you who know me, you will know that I very much consider myself to be a huge geek, and I love my technology, I love my video games, I've always loved my comic books and things like that. But I basically grew up with video games and grew up sort of believing in them, and they actually happen to be a big part of my life and a big part of who I am. And I think that a lot of times, especially nowadays, when we look at games and there's a lot of talk about games and video games, and our kids definitely love to play their video games, and whether you sort of believe in them or not, I think that the whole sort of process of games, and not just video games, but games in general, actually have a lot of value and a lot of merit for educational purposes. So to begin with, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is gamification. And I guess in sort of layman's terms, the best way to sort of think about gamification or describe gamification is exactly how it sounds. So you're basically taking something, some sort of either activity, or it could be, again, some sort of learning environment or something, and you're turning it into more of a game. So you're gamifying it. You're turning it, if we take an education example, if we say, we're gamifying math learning, instead of maybe just sitting at a desk and completing some word problems as we would kind of traditionally think about them, we're now taking that same concept and applying it through the process of a game or game-like activity. And for those of us who are like me and have a huge propensity for games and enjoy games, probably think, yeah, this is great. Like if I was a kid and I got to kind of feel like I was playing games every day, especially in math, I would have loved that. But those of you who maybe don't believe in games as much, again, it is important. And why it's important is not so much the gamification itself or the game itself, but the process that you go through, one, educator to transfer your sort of knowledge or transfer your program into more of a sort of gamified environment. But also for the kids, it's that process of continuous learning or continuous, I guess, improvement that becomes very, very valuable and very easily transferable between lots of different sort of areas of not only education, but also life. So something that I have always very, very strongly believed in, and the more I am involved in education,